Rockstars, what if you built a restaurant so good your servers made six figures and the Mormon church paid 3.5 times its value just to buy the land? Well, that's the story of Bob Campana, a serial entrepreneur who turned a rundown banquet hall into a hospitality powerhouse. He'll share how to build dream teams, create next level guest experiences, that's true hospitality, and turn your restaurant into a brand your community can't stop raving about. Let's dive in. This is the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. Thanks for being with us. Bob, welcome to the show. You've got a lot of stories. You're a serial entrepreneur. You've been around the block. You've got lots to talk about, but this is, of course, about restaurants. Give us a little bit of your hospitality backstory. Why restaurants after many other types of businesses?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I was a swimming pool and landscaping contractor and general home builder. Then I built custom homes for a majority of my career. When I turned 50 years old, I had an opportunity to sell that company. It was a fairly large company. It had like 170 employees in it. And we were doing like around 500, what we call dirt to Disneyland projects, where we would take like a backyard and just transform it into an oasis for people. And I developed an interesting marketing strategy on how to go about doing it. I'm a helicopter pilot.
Awesome.
I also fly airplanes. So I'm flying a helicopter over these subdivisions in my town. And I had this epiphany. I go, look, these developers control this dirt before I am able to get in there and sell the pool to the customers. It's kind of like a shark feed after that, because as soon as the people move in, they don't even have their furniture, and they got like a card table, and they're interviewing pool contractors to get their pool going on, you know? I've been doing that drill for many, many, many years. I finally decided, how can I preempt the market? So what I did is I went and I made a deal with the developers to give them a cut of a commission that they'd be able to build the pool while the house was being constructed. So what I basically did was took all the gravy jobs off the table on these subdivisions, because the people could finance their pool for 30 years versus 15 on a home improvement loan. So I was selling these jobs that were way more money than the other competitors were doing. And I captured these developers. So one of my competitors go, look, I'm tired of this shit. Some of your business. So I basically ended up semi-retiring. I had this property. It was about an acre in Modesto, California. There was a banquet hall for the Knights of Columbus. And they decided they wanted to sell this banquet hall. It was very run down. It was basically a ranch home. It was about a 5,000 square foot home that some dairyman had built years ago. And he had donated or sold the adjoining property to his dairy to the Mormon church. And this was just like one set off onto the side where this house was. We made this beautiful venue. And we started doing weddings. And I learned the wedding business. And I learned how to basically do catering and all of that. Well, this was ongoing while I was building the pools, and I had a partner and his sister was running it for us. And we basically just had made a beautiful environment for these people to have the weddings. When I sold the pool company, my daughters, I have 4 daughters, 2 of the daughters lived in San Francisco, and I would get these random invitations for me and my wife to go to San Francisco. It was a veiled attempt to shower, we want you to pay for our dinner at this nice restaurant, so why don't you come down, you and mom come down and see it. So we started having these tours of all of these different restaurants in San Francisco to visit with our daughters. And they finally said, Dad, you need to go in the restaurant business. Anybody, any entrepreneur that hears that, run for the hills, man. It's like got the reputation of, there's no way. And then I go, I want to see if I'm all that in a bag of chips, that I can actually run a restaurant and make it a profitable opportunity. So I decided to transform that banquet facility into a full service, fine casual, now that I've learned all the terminology, fine casual special occasion restaurant. So what I do is I start transforming this restaurant. When I was in the pool business, I basically was the salesman for the company. I was selling myself personally about $10-12 million worth of projects a year, contract writing those. That required me to go to all these homes. So hundreds, thousands of homes, custom homes, see architects that had designed this and designed that. And I travel extensively. If you read my book, which we'll talk about a little bit later, when I was 21 years old, I took a trip around the world for around 7 months. And that kind of set the tone where the world is larger than I was a little small town guy was, the restaurant business from my daughters is a place where I wanted to go. What do I want to go out and eat? What do I want to do? Now I'm getting at that point, I'm 50. I've still had I had a little bit of deterioration of hearing. A lot of people at that age have noisy restaurants. You can't really hear yourself talk and all of that. So I was very focused in on acoustics. I was focused in on ambiance, and then I was focused in on team building. Now, my history in the pool and construction business, I had a seminal event when I read the book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And that book gave me systemization, predictable outcome, how to basically put things together, work on the business, not work in the business.
Speaking my language.
So I am a restaurant that has never cooked together. I am a restaurateur that has never waited a table, but I have trained people on what I want to do. And you have a question that you basically send me is, what do you do for management? I use the David Packard management program from Hewlett Packard. I walk around, do table touching every weekend with my customers. I look in their eyes, and then my metric is, what is my tip ratio? What are my customers tipping? I built that restaurant, which I am very proud of, to 0 to where when the end of the story, which we're going to get to in a minute, comes in that particular restaurant, I had 5 servers making over $100,000 a year, only working dinner shows.
Amazing. That's fantastic.
So that basically told me that they are doing the right thing. The customers are rewarding them from the experience that they're having. So now let's go backwards. How did I create that environment?
Yeah, let's hear that story, please.
I would sit in every chair of that restaurant and say, what am I looking in? What's my view? What is interesting? And I created, I called them vignette systems, where you would have this little space that when you came and you sat down, you had your own little cocoon. And that was basically really developed through COVID. When the separation thing came about and everything, I rearranged my restaurant, made everything into booths and private little areas. And then I basically put carpet under the tables, carpet on the floor where they would be sitting. Really went into aesthetics. So when I would sit down and I was have 4 people at a dinner table or 6 people at dinner, we could hear each other talk. And then we would look around and we go, oh, look, I never noticed that before. Oh, look at how he's got that lighting shadow over there. And all of these different ambiance. So my philosophy on the way I run the restaurants is a minor escapism. People go to a restaurant to forget their troubles, to be pampered a little bit, to enjoy a fine meal being made for them, and then create that environment and then to feel a little bit special. So we want our customers to come to our restaurants and to feel special, and they're happy that they decide to come to this particular restaurant. And that boils down to the human connection. Now, the human connection and how you can basically bring an experience to people and put that together where they feel warm in their heart and they are truly happy and they get out of it and they escape from that is the job of the restaurateur. In my viewpoint, now I'm not talking about a fast food drive-through guy. I'm talking about my particular segment that I basically focused in on, which is the fine, casual, special occasion restaurant. That's my niche that I've looked at. So that niche is a rewarding niche from a couple of different ways. If you make the ambiance right. So like I had greeters in my parking lot when they they would be thanked to come to the restaurant. Their door would be open for them.
Very nice.
And they would come
Personal touch right there.
Then I also, like golf cart, dude. If you would have saw my parking lot, our parking lot had a 900-foot long parking lot. It was completely filled. On average, Friday night at the Redwood Cafe in Modesto would do 500 covers. Okay. So we were a busy restaurant. We had people coming in and out. So when they came out of the restaurant, that same greeter would thank them for coming to the restaurant, put them in a golf cart, and drive them to their
awesome.
car. At that particular point, what that was, I learned that from Disney.
I call that a hook. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You go to the theme park and they either have the trams or they pick you up and they deliver you right to the door because the parking lots are huge and you have that very same concept in your restaurant. This is the first I've ever heard of a restaurateur doing that. And I think that's a fantastic touch. That's great. Keep going.
So what basically happened, I'm a constant learner. I'm constantly learning. And one of the biggest problems that theme park had, Disney had, was at the end of the day, lost families trying to find their
Oh,
car.
sure. Yeah.
And that
Where'd I park?
problem was that the end of the day, it made the sour taste in their mouth, and it was a negative
The lasting
impression when they
impression.
drove
Yeah.
home about the drama. So Disney knew, we have to fix this. We've got to fix this. So what they figured out was, if we announce you are in the Pluto lot, we have just picked you up in the Pluto lot. We are now leaving the Pluto lot. We have just left the Pluto lot. So they had to tell them around 5, 6 times. And then after that, they would know they're going back to the Pluto lot. I took that to a step where I go, look, I can do this as a setting the table when they arrive. It's setting the tone that they're in a special place. Like you said, no other restaurateurs have done that. So I'm changing the paradigm. I'm doing something where this experience is different than all my competitors. So then they're greeted at the door. They come in, they have their experience in the restaurant. Then they come out, they're greeted at the door. The golf cart picks them up. It takes them to their car.
Thank you very much.
It thanks them for coming to the restaurant. Could you tell me anything that we could do any better from your experience at that moment? A lot of times
feedback
would drive
too.
the golf
drivers would capture feedback on the guest experience.
Or I would drive the golf cart.
Oh.
I would basically be driving the golf cart. So I'm basically doing marketing research. People don't even, I'm telling them I own the restaurant. Now, some people would know I own the restaurant, but a lot of people just think I'm a senior citizen trying to make Walmart money.
Yes.
So I would assume that role and basically try and interview those people as to what would happen. So that basically melded my experience that I could choreograph for the client. As the business grew, we started getting we always have weddings. In the Central Valley of California, there's an event called a quinceañera. Okay, a quinceañera is when a 15-year-old young Hispanic girl enters into society. And the family kind of coming out like a debutante party, kind of thing like that. Hispanic community loves to drink. They love to enjoy themselves, but they didn't like to come into the actual party area to do their drinking. A lot of them would like to show up with a fifth of tequila in the parking lot. Well, what would end up happening is my neighbor, which was the Mormon church, we had a reciprocal parking agreement with these guys. And we come to find out that some of these attendees of the quinceañeras were purging in the Mormon parking lots, which basically we tried to fix.
Oh my gosh.
Basically, so it deteriorated. They say we can't have a reciprocal parking agreement anymore, which was a great thing for us because parking is expensive in California, and we had that. So they have what's called a stake precedent. If anybody has a Mormon church around them, they'll see the young people in their little white shirts and the bicycles going around, where there's a business person that's brought to that stake to be in charge of that group of kids. They would bring them over to the restaurant to kind of introduce them to the area, give them some coconut shrimp. I'd be friendly with them. The stake president goes, Bob, why don't you call Salt Lake and maybe they'll sell you an acre of ground back here for a parking lot? I just was kind of shocked. I go, okay, so I'm supposed to call the Mormon church out of the clear blue and tell them I want to buy an acre of ground. That's what you're telling me? Yeah, here's the number. I call this guy up. It's like on the 11th floor of the headquarters of the Mormon church in Salt Lake. We start talking, and they run up the flagpole, and it's like, oh, maybe they're just going to sell me an acre. At the end of the day, they go, nah, we're not going to do it. I go, all right. 4 years go by. Now, this is a part of the fairy tale story. About 4 years go by, and this guy called me back. And I go, yeah, what you guys change your mind? He goes, no. We want to buy you. I go, what? Well, the long and the short of it, they were building one of their 7 temples that they built worldwide a year next door to me. These are $160 to $170 million projects. And the Redwood Cafe bar and restaurant was a wart on the front of that. They wanted it out of it. Negotiations start. Now, I went on this journey with my daughter to Salt Lake while this was going on. She was building a custom home, and we were looking at this parade of home things. And there's so many temples in the valley there of Salt Lake. Temples, not just church temples. And you would see these roads going into these temples. And occasionally you would see like a house with like a 15-foot block wall around the house. Those were the greedy ones. Those were the ones when the church came to and wanted to buy them out, and they just kept adding the price. We're done. Build a wall around it. Have a nice day. And they just moved on. They squandered their opportunity. I was in that scenario. I knew there was a limit that they would go. When they got to 3.5 times appraised value to buy my restaurant and property, I had to do it. That deal's never coming around again. So I sell my restaurant to the Mormon church, but they didn't want anything. They didn't want the buildings. They
Goodwill,
didn't want
none
anything. They just wanted the
Yep.
dirt. So I negotiated a 20-month, no rent to stay there to move the restaurant. So now I go on this search to where can I move my building? What can I do? I basically talked to like house moving companies. Like what I do is just to pick the building up, move it to a lot down there. It had beautiful interior. I worked years on this frickin' thing. Well, a large developer in our area, actually one of the largest developers in the world, is called Cambay Construction or Cambay Enterprises. They started their business bringing supplies to the colonies and shipping the United States from Europe. This billionaire owns it. He has developments in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, France, Poland, Canada, Carolinas, Texas, California, South Korea. He has a manager at the partner owner in this one. It's a 5,000 acre subdivision, which I don't know if you have any idea, but it's like there's going to be 15,000 houses in this place. And they want a human connection, glue destination restaurant inside their community. It's just gotten to 5,000 houses. It's called River Islands. They come and make me a deal where they physically pay to pick my restaurant,
That's amazing.
the buildings, move it 20 miles down the road. Now you can go on my YouTube channel. I'll give you that connection. And we are building a brand new 16,000 square foot,
That's huge.
2-story, 6 wine cellar, absolutely off the restaurant, along with 1 acre of landscape grounds around it for weddings and outside.
Showplace.
And directly next to it, an amphitheater.
That's amazing. Wow. That
And my partner is the developer. They're paying for everything. They're paying
what
for
a sweet
the
setup.
moving. They're paying for everything. And I'm the partner with the restaurant. And I am the human connection component that's putting this all together for River Islands. I'm documenting that. So you'll be able to,
very
viewers
interesting.
are going to be able to watch
Yeah.
that on YouTube. It's an amazing construction project. And just in that respect alone.
The top independent restaurants choose Menufy to not just compete, but stand out from the competition. Menufy powers your growth with direct online ordering, smart SEO, and guest marketing and reputation management all in one place. Get a custom branded SEO optimized website, complete data ownership, and automated tools that drive loyalty and feedback without giving up 30% to third-party platforms, plus chargeback protection and 24/7 support. Learn more at restaurant.menufy.com.
Now, the Redwood Cafe, one of the ways that I got the ambiance dialed in from my construction background is I manufactured the interior out of my shop. I have custom woodworkers, metal fabricators, guys that I have basically accumulated, highly skilled
Craftsmen we're
guys
talking
that
about
work
here.
for me, world-class craftsmen. These guys are in their 50s, 40s. They have done their whole life. They know that. So we build our own tables, our own separators. I just finished this restaurant that took me 2.5 years to build. It's called the Old Water Office in Patterson, California. That's a completely separate deal. I'm running my restaurant in Modesto. My daughter marries into an extremely large ag farming family. This patriarch of the family, they farm, I don't know if you're familiar with like tens of thousands of acres. They grow tomatoes, melons, apricots, walnuts, almonds, hay, corn, all of this stuff. The patriarch of the family, an 85-year-old farmer, said, Bob, I want you to build me a legacy restaurant in my community for my family. They have 6 kids, they farm all that. They're going nowhere. We go in and build this. My grandson, my grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren, we share because his grandson married my daughter.
Okay.
So same deal. I go, look, I'm not going to pay
Extended
rent.
family.
I'm not going to go in there and, do the frickin' lease stroke, all of this kind
Mhm.
of stuff. But I'll go in partners with you because you're a known quantity to me. And we'll go in together with it. And you could take your lease out of your percentage of the ownership of the restaurant. So I have no monthly stroke on the restaurant. It's just a split on the profits. So we basically build this restaurant. You go online. We built all of the furniture in the restaurant. We built all of the lighting in the restaurant. We did mosaics in the restaurant. We built all of the stuff. It's a piece of furniture. That gets to my philosophy of the fine casual dining experience. When they walk into a door of my restaurant, they forget their troubles. They forget their problems because their eyes are looking around. Oh my gosh, look at this place. I can't believe it. As they walk in, they're greeted. The human connection starts. They're honored. They get great service. They sit down. I will come over and thank them for coming to the restaurant. I very much appreciate you coming to our restaurant. You can go anywhere. And they sit down, they have an experience. I might bring them a muse out, like from the chef. I'll walk out, I'll make them feel special. I'll basically do little things like that. Our staff will do the same thing. And we want them to laugh. We want them to enjoy their experience and basically have that, what they're seeking. I travel a lot. And when you're traveling, you're looking for those like special moments when you meet that Nona and she basically shows you a little bit of how she made the bread and a little sidewalk in
Yep.
Italy or any kind of
That's
thing
a
like that.
competitive
So
advantage. I love it.
being
Yeah.
able to get the people away from their phones, like for example, in my restaurants, there's no TVs.
Well, you're creating, you talked about the concept and the type of clientele you have and the amount of money your team makes. I mean, you're not just selling food and drink, you're creating experiences for people that are memorable, that are bringing them back again and again. And wow, and the attention to detail I'm hearing is over the top. Let's talk
What?
about the team portion of things because you clearly built what I call dream team staffs. But how does it start? What do you look for in your, and I hate using the word hiring because I always recruited, but in new people that come to you, like what do you look for in their character, in their approach, experience, no experience? Can we train them? It's like, it's got to be something really personal. And it sounds like you had a pretty strong hand in that, or at least until you passed that on to your leadership. Tell me about that whole process.
I'm still involved
Yeah.
in it because it's such a critical component of the ambiance and of the total vibe
Mhm.
that the restaurant emanates. One person could screw it up. I mean, so I tell my employees that customers are like dogs. They can sense a good vibe or a bad vibe. We've all walked into a restaurant where there's tension, where it's all going on, and it's not really going on from a jubilant
Yes.
thing or just like going
Mhm.
through the prices. You go into my restaurant and you can feel people want to be there. The servers want to be there. So everybody wants to be there, and you can feel that. So what I'll do is like, and I don't care if it's a busboy, if it's a dishwasher, if it's whoever. They go through a screening process to a point to where it's time to meet Bob. I mean, I don't really do the initial thing. So like we're going to hire a busboy. We're going to still go through a two-step process. We're not going to just say, okay, you can basically wash dishes, not going to see anybody, go in there and see what happens. We want them to have that same feeling of camaraderie and same feeling of the team as much as the head server, the head bartender,
love
whatever.
Uh-huh.
So the guy gets hired to be a dishwasher. And the first thing what will happen is I'll bring him in and I'll sit down with him and I'll just have a one-on-one. I really appreciate you coming in. Now, he's a freaking dishwasher. He's had nobody ever treat him like this. I go, I thank you so much for coming to part of our organization. I don't know if you understand it or not, but your position in the restaurant is the most important position we have. If you are not getting our plates clean, our dishes clean, or all of the little egg stuff off of the forks, everything is exactly perfect, you are going to affect the reputation of our
I
restaurant.
love that.
So it's very important for you to be sure that you take care and time in your job. If I understand from people that have hired you and brought you to this point that you have the attributes to make that happen, then I am excited to have you a part of our team. So do me a favor. If you have any problems or any issues, go to your supervisor initially. But if you're not satisfied, you have an invitation from me to come and talk for your problem because I want you to be happy at your job. Then what I'll do is once they start working, I will randomly come by in the first 5 days and visit them at their station. I will come in and personally go in there and say, how we doing? How's everything going? I'll bring them like a Coke or something like that and sit there and go, is there anything that we can do to make your experience better? again, they're shocked to
I totally
shit that
believe
the
in
freaking
that.
boss
Mhm.
at a busy restaurant doesn't. So I'm respecting them as
But you're
people.
setting clear
I'm respecting
expectations
them.
also. You're sending a strong message in a really personal way on what what the standards are in your restaurant. And they need to live up to that, but with that whole personal touch, they don't want to let you down. I mean, you created a rapport with that person by showing them that they matter. I love what you just said about that. Yeah,
Obligation.
that's beautiful.
Okay. We make that experience so that that team knits
Mhm.
together and then have conversations with the other team members. So-and-so's new. Go in and say hi to them. Let them feel part of the team. So people will rotate through and introduce themselves. And basically, now we're talking about a freaking dishwasher. Okay. So now what happens is that goes out into the ethos. And
Mhm.
now people are coming to me. They want to work for me. So over the years, it's really not been hard for me to recruit by this particular point in time, because when I very first started to get a really high producing server, they didn't want what I had their track record in the restaurant. They're not going to leave and come to some random place. They don't know how many covers are going to be there in a night or whatever. They're not going to show up. Well, as time goes on, then the best possible people are coming to me in my community that want to work for me. So we are able to create that dream team because they want to work there, because they know they're going to be respected. They know here's the problem with the restaurant business. It's a general rule of thumb for the way I work at it, the way most work at. Most restaurants are leased.
Absolutely.
You're not going to spend the money that I put into my restaurants, but do a leased
Of
building
course not.
as a general rule
Can't
of
take it
thumb.
with you.
So that's kind of like a barrier to get to that level, because you're not going to put the money into it. You're not going to screw stuff onto the walls and do all of that. It becomes the landlord's property, so that kind of like separates it a little bit, from what we do. But that's
Well,
such an important component of it.
it's funny you mention that,
Right.
because my very first restaurant, you triggered a thought in me, because I leased my very first space and I was only there for 3 years. But 30 years ago, we put in a $20,000 wood-fired brick oven that was a piece of masonry, and it now became a part of that space, which we couldn't take with us when we bought a piece of land, 18 acres of land, and built the 8,000 square foot building. Similar to your story, not at the same scale, but that brick oven 30 years later is still there, and the person that replaced us 30 years ago is still there running a Chinese restaurant. But we were always afraid, is somebody else going to come in and compete with us? Because here's this beautiful wood-fired oven. We covered it up with, sheetrock and whatnot. But if you were to go there today and knock the wall down, you'll see a beautiful piece of masonry, convection oven, that was right in the middle of the dining room, because we believe that the restaurant business is show business. We wanted to create this ambiance that you talk about. So funny story. You can't take it with you. That becomes a permanent fixture in someone else's space.
After I travel around the world, I immerse myself. I don't care if I'm Berlin, I'm in Alba, Italy, I'm in Florence, I'm in Catania, Sicily, I'm wherever. I will go to a restaurant and it probably takes maybe 10 minutes before I'm in the kitchen, talking to the camaraderie of the restaurateurs and all of that. We are in the business of theater. We're in the business of escapism. We're in the business of rewarding. So if you come to my restaurant, you're celebrating or you're rewarding yourself for a small thing, I don't want to let you down. I want you to walk out and that whole experience is choreographed from me visiting and touching to the table, or from my manager turning around and touching the table, from a greeting. I would say each customer that comes to the restaurant is probably thanked a minimum of 3 times for coming.
I always believed in that too. Absolutely. Everyone who crosses the guest path, thank them and welcome them back again. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And that just builds up over time. Over time, you get this group of people and the word of mouth goes on and you do that. So the creation of the spaces is where I'm at, the creation of the human connection. So one of the things I do, I don't know if I mentioned, but I have a travel company. I do food and wine tours in Europe.
I had no idea. That's awesome.
I travel about 2 to 3 months a year, where I take I bought this food and wine tour from a master of wine from Australia. And he had basically built this tour business up over about 8 years, to where the little boutique hotels you go to, the winemakers, the relationships you would go. So I went on this great,
in Italy.
It's so fantastic. So
No doubt.
that human connection, you go on a 10-day tour. 8 people. We only do small tours, like maybe the most I've ever done is 10 people. I usually do 6 to 8 people. We have a black vans and we go. So I'm working on a tour now that I want to talk to you about. We'll listen, your listeners will hear about it. I'm going to do industry specific tours where we go through Europe and visit restaurateurs. We visit wineries. We meet the owners of the wineries, meet the owners of the restaurants, and we have mastermind sessions with the restaurateurs about what it's like to run a restaurant in Europe, the menu items, and what we'll sit around the table each night, talk about our restaurant experiences. We'll talk about what's going on there, and then meet the owner of that particular restaurant, have an experience with that particular person, and then go to different restaurants through that country, or even visit multiple restaurants in different countries. We might go do Italy, France, and Greece, and we'll go to each one of those different places and have those experiences. So basically, the human connection is what the restaurant represents. It represents a place for the community to come together. It represents a community, a place for not only the community to come together and escape, but it's a tool for the community to bring the people together. The restaurateur's job is to create that environment and to create that vibe to where the community desires to go there, and the community supports that restaurant. And that takes all of the members of the team to create that experience, which is a predictable outcome. That customer comes to my restaurant, I know damn skippy, they're going to have a great meal, they're going to have a great experience, and they're going to forget about their problems. When they walk out that door, let life hit them in the face again, because it's going to inevitably. But when they're in my space, I want them to feel warmth, love, and enjoyment, and good food, and happy conversation with their people that they're at the restaurant with. And that's the job of the restaurateur.
I could not have defined the word hospitality better than what you just said. That is the true definition of hospitality, why people go out to restaurants, and everything about the experience that your restaurant has created and continues to create. And that only leads to repeat business and positive online reviews and a brand. You've clearly built a very strong brand, and it's got just staying power. So 200% on that, Bob. Thank you so much for being a fantastic guest on our show.
I look forward to speaking with you in the future. I think that this is not the last conversation that you and I have. I need to learn from you.
Excellent. That's fantastic. I know you're running off to the next segment, so we'll keep in touch, and I'll touch base with you again. But thank you for being a fantastic guest, and thanks to our audience for tuning in. That was the Restaurant Rockstars Podcast. Can't wait to see you next time, so stay tuned and stay well. Listen, what would it feel like to lower your operating costs, double your sales, lower staff turnover, create raving fans, and design a menu that literally prints money? Our online restaurant training system will teach you and your staff to rock your restaurant and transform your business. Head on over to restaurantrockstars.com. It'll take you less than 5 minutes to get started. You've got this.